Hola, clase. Well, as you know in English, one command fits every type of situation. Whether or not you're giving a command to a friend, to a group of people, or to somebody like Señor Maresca. But in Spanish, there are different types of commands depending on the situation. And today, we're going to take a look at affirmative to commands. That means telling a friend what to do. Now, you may already know what a command is, but let's go through a nice definition. Commands are used to make a suggestion, to give a warning, or to give an order. And so if you look at the following sentences, orders are given to people addressed as to. That's why we call them affirmative to commands. So we have María, escucha. Paquito, come el pan. Escribe la carta, Manuel. These would be people that you would address as to. But notice the ending. Escucha, come, escribe. That ending should be very familiar to you. So here we have the rule for the formation of affirmative to commands, and it's very easy. Remember, this is telling a friend what to do. For most verbs, the affirmative to form of the command is the same as the él, ella, usted form of the present tense. That's why in the previous slide, you saw come, escucha. Those were the él form, and that's the command in Spanish, the él, ella, usted form. For most verbs, and as you know, we have a group of irregulars in almost everything that we do. And because we're going to use the él form, or the ella or usted form of the present tense, the third person, you're going to have, for AR verbs, you're going to have an A ending. For ER and IR verbs, you'll have the E ending. So please remember that verbs that have a stem change in the present have that same stem change in commands. For example, this is a statement right here. Paco no pide tacos. He's not ordering tacos. So you come along and you give a command to Paco. Pide tacos, Paco. Say that 5 times. Pide tacos, Paco. So let's practice a little bit. For this activity, you're going to answer the questions using a command. Contestan con sí y el imperativo familiar. El imperativo is just simply another word for command. But notice how the questions are going to ask debo. So a friend is asking you. And debo, don't forget, debo comes from deber. Deber plus the infinitive means should do something. So the question is, debo manejar a la ciudad. A friend is asking you, should I drive to the city? You're going to come back and say, yes, drive to the city. So you're not going to use deber in your answer. You're going to go right to the infinitive and use the third person. So you would say, sí, maneja a la ciudad. That's your command coming from the third person of manejar, of the present tense. Maneja. That's your command now, maneja. So go ahead and do the rest. And there are 4 more right here. Please remember about stem-changing verbs. You need to remember stem-changing verbs like the verb almorzar. It stem changes. Does it stem change in the él, ella, usted of the present tense? Yes, it does. So be careful as you do these. And so now let's take a look at the irregulars. And there are 8 of them. In other words, they're not going to be formed by using the él, ella, usted of the present. They have their own forms. For example, decir, you already know decir from dímelo. That's di. But look at ir. Ir is be. Ser, we have another say here. But this one is be. Sé buena en la escuela. Be good. Notice the accent. Looks like saber in the O form, but it's not. From context, then you will know that that is the command. Then we have salir, which is sal de aquí. And now here are the last 4. So from hacer we have haz. Haz la tarea. And then from tener we have ten paciencia. That means be patient. Venir, maybe you've heard venir. Ven aquí, ven. That's very common. And then poner, pon los libros aquí. So this is just one part that you have to be a little bit careful, because now you know that ir, its command is, is be. But ber, if you go to the L form, that's be also, because ber in the command is regular. So we have two be's. So you get the meaning from context. Ve a cibercafé con Yolanda. That's where it means go. But ve es a programa. Es interesante. Here's ver right here. So now we have 5 questions for you to answer using a command. Contestan con sí y el imperativo familiar. Imperativo, once again, just simply means command. Familiar, we're talking about 2 commands. So, each one starts with debo. Remember, do not use debo in your answer. Go right to the infinitive. You should be able to handle these. Say sí, and then the command. So now we need to make sure we work with pronouns. And pronouns for affirmative commands are attached to the command itself. For example, lava los platos? Sí, lávalos. Notice how the pronoun's attached. Como la ensalada? Sí, cómela. Sirvo el postre? Sí, sírvelo. Te doy la receta? Sí, dámela. So notice that. And also notice that there's an accent mark. So what's going on here is that you need to find where the natural stress occurs. And you have to write the accent mark. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. So please remember that any affirmative command using a pronoun, that pronoun must be attached. And now when you attach a pronoun, you need to write an accent mark. If the command and the pronoun is at least 3 syllables, you need to write the accent mark. Well, where does the accent mark go? Well, remember what I've been saying. Any word in Spanish that ends in a vowel, an N, or an S, the natural stress occurs on the second to last syllable. With the word lava, the command, the natural stress occurs on the first A. That's the second to the last syllable. When you add the pronoun, you're going to write that accent where it naturally occurs. You can have fun with this and do this. Uno, dos, bam. So you counted back 3 syllables. And that's where the natural stress would be. Let's take a look at comela. So we have come. It's a word that ends in a vowel. The natural stress occurs on the second to last syllable. There it is right there. When you add the pronoun la, you need to write that accent mark over the natural stress. Or you can do this. Uno, dos, bam. So have fun with this as you go to the next activity to do. So there are 5 questions here, and you're going to answer using a to command and a pronoun. So take a look at your object, your direct object. Change these to pronouns. Then change the yo form to the command by using the L form. Be careful. Remember, whenever there's a te in a question, come back with the me. Whenever there's a me in a question, come back with the te. See how well we do with this. Muchas gracias. Nos vemos en clase.